The location was a bit far, so the group drove for a long time before stopping in front of an extensive factory. When they arrived, the chauffeur immediately sprinted out of the car and opened the door for Yi Wanwan. However, the second Yi Wanwan exited the car, the chauffeur abruptly attacked Yi Wanwan like a ghost. The fierce wind from his palm slashed across Yi Wanwan's neck like a blade, creating a bloody line instantaneously. A little more force and her neck would have been forcefully snapped broken by him. "Who are you?" Yi Wanwan narrowly dodged his attack, but the man was too fast and launched attack after attack toward her like a tornado, each strike fiercer than the previous. This man's martial arts skills were extremely strong. He absolutely wasn't an ordinary assassin. Damn. Yi Wanwan narrowly dodged his attack again. "Sister Worryless, be careful. Or you. How dare you attack a member of our Nye family?" Nye Linglong quickly rushed over and struck the assassin with her hand. Nye Linglong's palm reached perfection in both strength and speed, and she managed to strike the assassin back with a mere hit. PFF. The assassin spat out a mouthful of blood, evidently injured. He hastily turned around and escaped. Yi Wanwan reflexively looked at Nye Linglong. The other woman managed to repel the assassin with a mere strike of her palm, which meant Nye Linglong's martial arts skills were probably better than she expected. A group of Nye family guards quickly chased after the assassin while the higher-ups and elders from the car behind them also rushed forward. "Who is he? He's rather gutsy to dare to assassinate our second miss. That was simply lawless. We must thoroughly investigate this matter. Miss, are you okay?" The elders and higher-ups spoke one after another. Yi Wanwan massaged her palm, which had turned numb from fending off that man's attack. "I'm fine." Amidst this sea of indignant voices, a soft voice was suddenly heard. "Second miss, with your strength, that assassin probably shouldn't have even approached you, so how did he?" The person didn't finish the rest of their sentence, but its meaning spoke for itself. Everyone instantly looked at Yi Wanwan strangely. That was right. Second Mrs. martial talents stunned the entire independent state back then. She was the legend of the mercenary world, so how did she lose to an assassin, requiring that assassin to be struck back by Nye Linglong? When faced with those higher-ups and elders' questioning and suspicious gazes, Yi Wanwan's face darkened. Her martial strength really hadn't recovered completely still. Even though she had been sparing no efforts in her training lately, she only managed to recover 30 to 40% at best. If she was drunk and lost her rationality, she might be able to recover 50 to 60%, but she was still a ways away from her previous strength. When it came to something like martial arts, the closer you were to the top tier, the wider the chasm between each degree of strength. Some people might not be able to cross that chasm their whole lives. Yi Wanwan's current state was like a formatted max-level main account. She originally passed all the stages already but now had to level up all over again. Although her progress was faster than the average person's, it was still difficult the more she advanced. Something like comprehension couldn't be solely obtained through training. No matter how hard she worked, she still felt very clumsy and her body couldn't coordinate with her mind. This would undoubtedly be fatal in a match with a true expert. "Sister just feels unwell today." Nye Linglong considerately walked over to mediate the situation and turned to Yi Wanwan with concern. "Sister, I'm sorry. It was my fault for allowing assassins to infiltrate and shock you. I will send people to escort you back and rest." When the higher-ups and elders saw their acting family head's weak appearance and how she looked like she needed to go back and rest after the shock of a mere assassination, their expressions turned darker. How could such a weak person hold the post of the head of their Nye family? How could Yi Wanwan not have realized the truth by now? Today's events were probably arranged meticulously by Nye Linglong beforehand. Nye Linglong finally couldn't hold back anymore? It appeared she was starting to garner support after losing her puppets so she could make a bid to snatch the Nye family herself. Nye Linglong truly didn't have a big probability to win before, but when nameless Nye lost his right of inheritance and Yi Wanwan's martial strength dropped greatly, the situation became very disadvantageous for them. Aside from their abilities, every head of the Nye family had to meet an especially strict requirement for martial strength. That night, they returned to the Nye residence. Yi Wanwan immediately called nameless Nya with a chain of calls. Worryless, do you need me for something? Hurry and talk. Do you know that I, your brother, have big jobs worth several $100s every minute? Nameless Nya complained. Several $100s every minute. How great! Yi Wanwan irritably rolled her eyes. Follow me. What is it? Nameless Nya reluctantly followed her to a deserted courtyard. Yi Wanwan got straight to the point. Spar with me? Nameless Nya asked. Huh? Spar with me? Right now? Nameless Nya's hackles raised. What scheme are you brewing? Do you want me to be beaten to death by Dad and Mom? How could he dare to spar with his parents' precious sweetheart? Yi Wanwan exasperatedly responded, I just want to test my current martial strength. Hurry, stop quibbling. Oh, okay then. Yi Wanwan fastidiously ordered, You aren't allowed to go easy on me. Fight with me seriously. Sure, Nameless Nya replied. Swish. Read latest chapters at Wuxia World. A second later, the two people attacked at almost the same time. Followed by a bang, Yiwun flew back. Shit. Nameless Nya jolted in fright and quickly leaped over, catching Yi Wanwan before her back hit the wall in fear of her getting injured. Yi Wanwan darkly steadied herself and angrily roared, Nameless Nya, are you trying to murder your sister? Nameless Nya was also scared terribly. Say, sister, why are you such a weakling? You're a weakling. Your whole family is filled with weaklings. Sister, don't be unreasonable. If everyone in the Nya family is a weakling, then there aren't any experts in the independent state. Yi Wanwan ignored him and seriously asked, Let me ask you, what percentage of your strength did you use? Nameless Nya seriously thought about it. 0. 1% probably? Yi Wanwan inhaled deeply. Speak properly. Is it 1% or 0? 1%? I was right. It was 0. 1%. Yi Wanwan was silent for a long time before asking again, When I was at my peak, how many moves could I take from you? Nameless Nya rubbed his chin. If you were using your status as my younger sister, you could take 2 moves from me. If you weren't using your status as my younger sister, you could only take 1 move from me. Yi Wanwan. What should she do? She really wanted to beat him to death. Did all of this guy's intelligence get redistributed to his martial strength instead? In the end, Yi Wanwan gave up on the idea of beating him to death since she couldn't defeat him. Is there any method to make my martial strength recover as soon as possible? Yi Wanwan asked with a sigh. Nameless Nya mulled over it and scratched his head. That's hard to say. In your situation, you aren't a newbie who can increase your martial strength through training. Your body function and quality are already there, and you're working with top-notch equipment already. Hence, your problem isn't that you have bad equipment, it's that you can't use it or start it, so you're unable to display its ability. Everyone has a different comprehension of martial arts, and only you know your body best. I'm afraid no one else can help you with that. Yi Wanwan felt a headache pounding. Nya Linglong is probably planning to snatch the position of family head. Can't you work harder? Today, she purposefully sent an assassin to test me and also publicized my plunge in martial strength to all the elders and higher-ups. The situation is very disadvantageous for us. Nameless Nya grumbled, It's not that I don't work hard, it's that my real dad rejected me with a single vote. He said he was afraid of the Nya family being destroyed in my hands, so he absolutely wouldn't allow me to become the family head. Yi Wanwan responded, Our dad is pretty wise. It was actually more frightening for someone to solely have martial strength while lacking a brain. What do you mean he's wise? Our dad is clearly muddle-headed. But forget about that for now, you still have to deal with your problem yourself. Public morals are deteriorating with each passing day, so it'd better if you recovered faster or else a problem will eventually pop up, Nameless Nya said, looking at Yi Wanwan. Yi Wanwan didn't say anything to that. The headmaster also said last time that the rest of her recovery solely relied on her. She was just afraid she wouldn't have enough time. However, sister, I still felt like something is wrong with the Nya family right now. That little bitch, Nya Linglong, isn't related by blood to the Nya family at all, so logically speaking, she isn't qualified to become a candidate for the Nye family head at all. However, there are higher-ups and elders who support her, so I think they might have been bribed, Nameless Nye continued. Is that even a question? Yi Wanwan shot Nameless Nye a look. They were definitely bribed. Nye Linglong had to have offered some immense benefit or some promise to those elders and higher-ups who supported her. Furthermore, the elders and higher-ups were stirring trouble using their father's bloodline. They claimed that father also wasn't a member of the Nye family, but since he became the patriarch of the Nye family, why couldn't Nye Linglong? They had to be commended for thinking of this excuse and reasoning, especially since other people couldn't really refute it. Let's head back and rest. We have to keep our health up and must be vigilant while Dad and Mom are gone, Yi Wanwan said to Nameless Nye. Right now, the Nye family could only rely on the two of them, and Yi Wanwan could only trust Nameless Nye. Unfortunately, if Nameless Nye was smarter and more shrewd, he would just need to stomp his feet with his martial strength and the entire Nye family would shake. Who would dare to rebel? However, it had to be said that the heavens were fair. You're right, sister. We need to keep our health up. Don't worry, I'm here. I'll protect you. Nameless Nye turned and left. However, to Yi Wanwan's surprise, things developed worse than expected. The next day, news suddenly came from Jin City that Madame Nye and Patriarch Nye encountered an ambush on their way there. Their current whereabouts and fate were unknown. Yi Wanwan immediately dispatched her top elites to Jin City to investigate the matter. However, 3 days passed and there still wasn't any news. They only discovered a bloody handkerchief that belonged to Madame Nye. After learning of this, Yi Wanwan personally visited Jin City but found nothing. Her mother's bloody handkerchief made Yi Wanwan's mind uneasy. But there was nothing they could do at this point. They didn't even know who the culprit was. In the meeting room, the atmosphere was unprecedentedly serious. Based on the current situation, it's extremely possible the Patriarch and Madam have met an unfortunate fate. A clan can't be without a head, so I suggest for us to hurry and elect a new head so that they can preside over the present situation for us. Please visit our list novel. Come, old three, what are you saying? Before the Patriarch left, he appointed Second Miss as the temporary family head already, so she's naturally in charge of everything. As you just said, First Elder, it was temporary. However, how can we hand the Nye family over to a temporarily appointed person in such an urgent time? We should naturally hurry and pick the most suitable candidate. That's the top priority. I agree. That's right, I also agree. Although Second Miss is very capable, you must all know that Second Miss's martial arts strength isn't as it once was. How could she hold the position as the Nye family head at that level? First Elder, don't forget the rule established by the previous Patriarch. Of course I remember, but only Second Miss is the most suitable candidate right now. I don't think so. Regardless of martial talent or capabilities, I think Third Miss is the most suitable candidate. Everyone has seen Third Miss's capabilities for themselves over the years. Utterly ludicrous. Nye Linglong isn't related to the Nye family by blood, so how could she hold the position of family head? First Elder, aren't your words improper? Our current Patriarch's previous name wasn't Nye Huili and he was actually a member of the Ling family. Since even the son of the Nye family's archenemy, the Ling family, could become the head of our Nye family, why can't Third Miss become the head? You're simply... First Elder didn't expect the other person to bring this matter up and couldn't conjure anything to refute it. You're right. After Third Miss becomes the family head, she can choose to marry a young and promising youth from our Nye family. She wouldn't violate any rules then. Yi Wanwan calmly watched everyone arguing. After hearing that, what else didn't she understand? Since that elder supported Nye Linglong so staunchly, Nye Linglong probably promised to marry his son after becoming the family head. The matter is urgent, so please start voting now, everyone. Voting? Voting your ass. Dad and Mom just got into an accident, yet you're in such a hurry to elect a family head. What? Are you all hoping for Dad and Mom to die? Nameless Nye ran his eyes over all the higher-ups and elders present. How could you say that? The Nye family has centuries of estates, so we can only prioritize the big picture at this current stage. We're just as sad and grieving that something like this happened to the patriarch and madam, but a dragon can't be headless. We will elect a new family head first so that we can better investigate what happened, a higher-up retorted. Nameless Nye wanted to say something else, but Yi Wanwan sent him a look to tell him to stop speaking. Since these elders and higher-ups dared to act like this, they had to have a contingency plan. The situation today was very disadvantageous for her and Nameless Nye, and electing a family head was a rule. Everyone had to obey the rules regardless of who they were. In the end, aside from First Elder, everyone actually voted for and elected Nye Linglong as the head of the Nye family. Yi Wanwan wasn't surprised in the slightest by this outcome. From all her years of operation, Nye Linglong had deep roots in the Nye family. They also couldn't forget Yi Wanwan's fatal weakness. She, who had no martial strength, was the same as a crippled person in front of Nye Linglong. Damn, do you want to revolt? Let me see who dared to vote for this little bitch. Nameless Nye, don't make incessant trouble. This isn't a place you can act recklessly. What did you say? Make incessant trouble? Fuck your grandma's leg. I'll slap you to death, idiotic old fart. Nameless Nye shattered the chair next to him into smithereens with a kick and fiercely glared at the elder who spoke. What? You're going to disregard even the Nye family's rules now? A higher-up snorted at Nameless Nye. Rules? What rules? I don't know what rules there are, but anyway, I'll kill whoever dares to elect this little bitch. Nameless Nye behaved as though the situation was already so bad that making it worse would make no real difference. Nameless, watch your mouth. First Elder glanced at Nameless Nye with a frown, a sense of helplessness filling his heart. The old Nameless Nye couldn't be any more steadfast. In terms of strategy, he didn't lose out to Ji Shiran. In terms of abilities, he didn't lose out to Yi Shuihan. However, ever since that incident, he turned into this current state and became a hopeless case. If he was Nameless Nye from back then, the Nye family wouldn't have needed an election at all. Election, is it? Fine, then I'll also enter. I'm the eldest child of the Nye family, so what right do you have to omit me? Nameless Nye chortled. As they say, the eldest son is the boss. I'm the eldest child, so I should be the head of the Nye family. You aren't qualified, an elder expressionlessly refuted. I'm not qualified? Why aren't I qualified? Is your head filled with soy milk? You old geezer. I'm telling you, the first thing I'm gonna do when I become the family head is kill you. If you're uneducated, then don't come out here and humiliate yourself. Don't you remember how the eldest sons of those ancient emperors were all crown princes? The principle is the same here. I'm the eldest son, so I must become the family head, Nameless Nye said. Yi Wanwan, real brother, you're too awe-inspiring. You were vetoed by the patriarch a long time ago, an elder replied. Bullshit. Nye Linglong was also vetoed, but isn't she still running? Don't give me that nonsense. I'm running for the position too, so hurry and vote. Nameless Nye said with irritation. Fine, then we'll vote. Raise your hand if you vote for Nameless Nye, an elder announced with a glance at Nameless Nye. Yi Wanwan immediately raised both hands while First Elder also raised his hand after a brief silence. Nameless Nye, as you can see, you only have 2 votes. You don't pass. This chapter is scrapped from Riyadh Light Novel. Org Yi Wanwan, Nameless Nye. Yi Wanwan was at a loss for words. So what if Nameless Nye ran for family head? No one voted for him. If they did vote, she would have been elected ages ago, and there wouldn't be time for Nameless Nye to fly off the handle. Blah. It's fine if I don't pass. If anything happens to the Nye family, don't call on me. Let our enemies kill your old twits. Nameless Nye snorted and quickly turned to Yi Wanwan. Let's go, sister. Let's go shopping and forget about these idiotic old farts. Yi Wanwan, all right. Yi Wanwan immediately followed Nameless Nye and left. Yi Wanwan actually didn't care about the matter of the Nye family head too much since the only thing that occupied her mind right now was her parents' safety. Even if she didn't have the Nye family, she was still the president of the Fearless Alliance and was also the newly appointed Eric of the Rose of Death. As for Nye Linglong, Yi Wanwan was going to ignore her for now. The top priority right now was uncovering news of her parents. On a snack street, nameless Nye led Yi Wanwan shopping here and there, occasionally buying some snacks and stuffing them in his mouth or holding them in his hands. Say, brother, have you eaten enough yet? We should prioritize investigating Dad and Mom's whereabouts first, Yi Wanwan said to nameless Nye. Nameless Nye glanced at her. Nonsense. Of course I know that, but one can't function properly on an empty stomach. I'd starve terribly if I skipped a meal, so I have to eat my fill before I go and investigate. Then hurry and finish eating, Yi Wanwan sighed. Wait here. I'll go to the corner to line up. That place's meat bun is seriously awesome. I'll bring one back for you. After saying that, nameless Nye dashed off. Watching nameless Nye's departing figure, Yi Wanwan's lips twitched. It was Dad and Mom's wisest decision to refrain from passing the position of family head to him. Yi Wanwan was about to call Si Yihan and explain the current situation to him when a big group of trained experts appeared and quickly surrounded her. The leader was none other than Nye Linglong. Sister, where are you going? You made me search quite hard for you, Nye Linglong expressionlessly stated. Oh, did you need to see me for something urgent, sister? Yi Wanwan remained calm and collected. There's nothing urgent, but as you know, sister, I just became the family head of the Nye family and need to establish some achievements. And President Fearless once stole a large quantity of confidential information and rare treasures many years ago, so the higher-ups of the Nye family have decided to punish President Fearless. Have you seen President Fearless perchance, sister? Nye Linglong stared at Yi Wanwan, an icy smile spreading across her mouth. What a coincidence! Yi Wanwan met Nye Linglong's eyes. I, your sister, am the President Fearless you're searching for. Nye Linglong nodded. Look at my memory, sister. I forgot about your identity as President Fearless. However, one thing at a time. Sisterhood is sisterhood and business is business. Business your mother. A harsh shout was heard from the back of the group, and before anyone could see how nameless Nye was moving, he kicked and sent 7 or 8 people flying away. Nameless Nye walked to Yi Wanwan with a meat bun in his mouth. Yi Wan, look at the situation, can't you eat later? Nameless Nye, this matter originally had nothing to do with you, but since you're acting disrespectfully toward the head of the Nye family and sheltering President Fearless, you're now accountable for the same crime. Submit yourself to arrest immediately, Nye Linglong coldly said. Nye Linglong. Nameless Nye's bone-chilling gaze landed on Nye Linglong. Have you gotten something wrong? Do you know who I am? I'm rather interested. Tell me, who are you? Nye Linglong snorted. I am Nameless Nye. As Nameless Nye said that, he lightly swung his fist and in a flash, the expert standing next to Nye Linglong flew backward like snipped kites. Yi Wanwan's heart trembled as she looked at Nameless Nye. The current Nameless Nye gave her a completely different feeling. Was this how her eldest brother acted when he was serious? This Nameless Nye in front of her and the Nameless Nye in her memories were like 2 completely different people. Take him down. Nye Linglong ordered. Countless experts instantly surrounded Nameless Nye. Nameless Nye stood unmoving in his spot, and Yi Wanwan couldn't see how he attacked. Nevertheless, a few breaths later, a dozen or so people had fallen. Nye Linglong's expression was abnormally dark. Thankfully, Nameless Nye was an idiot or else it would truly be a nightmare. She wanted to see how much longer Nameless Nye could hop around. In a place like the independent state, martial strength was everything. A person had to capture the ringleader first in order to capture all his followers, so after taking care of the small fry, Nameless Nye strode straight toward Nye Linglong. Your life, it's mine, Nameless Nye announced coldly. I don't think so, Nye Linglong aloofly replied. Try me. Nye Linglong's lips turned up into an icy smile, her eyes shining coldly as she met Nameless Nye's eyes. Sure, you can come and try. Nameless Nye remained expressionless. His figure disappeared from his spot like a flash of lightning and he reappeared next to Nye Linglong in a few seconds. He struck with his palm so fast that he stole air from the observers. Even Ye Linglong couldn't help the surprise on her face. However, seconds before Nameless Nye's palm made contact with Ye Linglong, his expression shifted and he staggered a step as he clutched his stomach. Yi Wanwan's expression turned peculiar. "Brother?" Yi Wanwan questioned softly. Nameless Nye didn't answer. "Brother, what's wrong?" Detecting something amiss, Yi Wanwan hastily rushed forward, an ominous feeling rising in her heart. "Stop. Don't come over here." Nameless Nye glanced at Yi Wanwan. Before Yi Wanwan could respond, Peach. A fountain of blood suddenly sprayed from Nameless Nye's mouth a second later. When the blood splattered onto the ground, it was black. Yi Wanwan stared at the puddle of blood, her expression shifting. "You were poisoned?" Nameless Nye wiped the blood from his mouth, his brows locked together. "Poisoned? When?" Yi Wanwan was stunned. "You don't even know when you got poisoned?" Nameless Nye gritted his teeth and ran his mind over past events. It couldn't be that iced pear juice, right? It shouldn't be. No way. What iced pear juice? Yi Wanwan asked anxiously. "On my way back, a miss offered me some iced pear juice for free, so I drank a cup." Yi Wanwan's lips twitched. She couldn't say anything after half a day as she stared at Nameless Nye. What else could she say? He clearly knew about Nye Linglong's wild ambitions but didn't know to take precautions. Just what was inside his head. However, Yi Wanwan had no presence of mind to blame Nameless Nye since her heart was brimming with worry. It didn't require any thought to know this was Nye Linglong's doing. No wonder Nye Linglong dared to come here and eliminate her and Nameless Nye. Watching Nameless Nye's quickly paling face, Yi Wanwan felt her heart burning with anxiety. "Just what kind of poison is it?" Nye Linglong airily said, "It's withered butterfly, a poison that will kill its victim within half an hour without fail." Half an hour. The color drained from Yi Wanwan's face. Within moments of Nye Linglong speaking, more black blood dribbled from the corner of Nameless Nye's mouth, and his figure toppled. "Brother!" Yi Wanwan caught Nameless Nye at once. "It's fine. My body is in good shape, so this little poison is nothing. Leave first, I'll handle it." Nameless Nye said as he looked at Yi Wanwan with meaning. "Bullshit." Yi Wanwan held Nameless Nye by his arm. No matter how good his body was, he couldn't fight this kind of lethal poison. "Forget about me." "I'm fine." Nameless Nye frowned deeply at Yi Wanwan. "Believe in me. Leave first." "If we leave, we'll leave together. If we stay, we'll stay together," Yi Wanwan said without the slightest hesitation, her eyes focused on Nameless Nye. Nameless Nye and her were real siblings, the closest people in this world, so how could she abandon Nameless Nye and leave by herself? Yi Wanwan couldn't do it even if it meant she would die. "Heh, what a good show of deep sibling affections. I was nearly moved by you too," Nye Linglong said with a snort. Yi Wanwan wasn't in the mood to pay attention to Nye Linglong. She helped Nameless Nye stand up and hastily said, "Brother, let's go. I'll take you to the hospital. You'll definitely be fine. Go." Nye Linglong stared at the duo. "Where are you planning to go now? How about I send you underground so that your deep sibling affections won't be disrupted and you two will have company on your journey to Yellow Springs?" By this time, the pedestrians on the snack street had hidden or ran already, and their surroundings were rather deserted and empty. Some time ago, Yi Wanwan had sent an SOS message to First Elder without notice, telling them to hurry there. However, the Fearless Alliance wasn't too close to this place, so even if First Elder and the others rushed over, they would need half an hour at least, and Nameless Nye's current condition absolutely didn't allow for such a long wait. This was the first time that Yi Wanwan could sense how important half an hour was and how long time felt. Nameless Nye probably couldn't last half an hour. He had to be sent to the hospital in the shortest amount of time possible. Yi Wanwan looked at Nameless Nye. Nameless Nye's face was deathly pale, sweat continued to soak his forehead, and his breathing turned more and more rapid. "Brother, use this time and leave first. Listen to me just once. Go to the hospital. Even if disaster strikes, I'll deal with it." Yi Wanwan shielded Nameless Nye's body. "I'm sick of watching this display of deep sibling affections." Nye Linglong apathetically waved her hand. Following Nye Linglong's order, several experts swiftly attacked Yi Wanwan. Each move was incredibly vicious and targeted her fatal points. They were the purest killing moves with no other intention than taking her life. Yi Wanwan gritted her teeth. No matter what, she had to protect nameless Nye today, even if it was at the cost of her life. However, those people were seriously too fast, so fast that Yi Wanwan could barely see them clearly. These people were all top-notch experts from the Nye family's assassination squad. Since Nye Linglong had become the head of the Nye family, she naturally had the right to mobilize them. The Nye family's assassination squad only obeyed orders from the family head and ignored everyone else. At this moment, a pair of warm hands were gently set on Yi Wanwan's left shoulder. Nameless Nye took a step forward. "Who dares to harm a hair on my sister?" Nameless Nye's bone-chilling words were accompanied by the terrifying aura of a wild beast. One of the expert assassins was caught off guard and was fiercely slammed in the face by Nameless Nye's elbow. The next second, the expert assassin flew back like a snipped kite. Kaboom! A giant noise resounded, and that person sank into the stone wall he hit. His body was stuck inside the wall as he stopped breathing on the spot. When the remaining expert assassins saw how Nameless Nye could still explode with such powerful fighting power despite being lethally poisoned, they looked at each other in bewilderment and shock. "Don't be afraid. Nameless Nye is a spent bullet," Nye Linglong shouted coldly. Following Nye Linglong's words, iciness surfaced in the eyes of the remaining expert assassins again. They didn't switch targets and continued to attack Yi Wanwan, who was behind Nameless Nye. "Come here." One of the expert assassins was about to approach Yi Wanwan when his hair was snatched by Nameless Nye. Nameless Nye dragged him back and promptly swept that assassin several meters back like a dragon flicking his tail. Nameless Nye's attacks were seriously too heavy, unbelievably heavy. If you were hit by Nameless Nye, you would die without a doubt. In the blink of an eye, 2 expert assassins lost their lives. However, as Nye Linglong said, Nameless Nye was a spent bullet. His breathing turned increasingly rapid and his figure was also swaying, as though he was pushing himself on with an unimaginable amount of willpower. However, the saying, "a starving camel is still bigger than a horse," was eternally, invariably true. "Don't waste time. Attack together." Nameless Nye panted heavily, but his formidable aura didn't decrease in the slightest. "Brother!" Yi Wanwan gritted her teeth as she watched Nameless Nye. "Matriarch, Nameless hasn't done anything wrong after all. Isn't this a little?" After several elders from the Nye family rushed over, one of the middle-level higher-ups inquired worriedly. "That's true. However, I've given him a chance." "He didn't listen," Nye Linglong coldly said. "Sheltering President Fearless and killing several experts from our Nye family's assassination squad is a heinous crime. Even if Dad and Mom returned, they wouldn't forgive these two." The middle-level higher-up secretly shook his head when he heard this, helplessness filling his heart. In truth, Madame Nye and Patriarch Nye already discovered something was wrong with Nye Linglong long ago and started secretly investigating her. However, Nye Linglong's power in the Nye family was stable. If they directly acted against Nye Linglong without any evidence, it would evoke turmoil in the Nye family. Now though, Patriarch Nye and Madame Nye were missing, so the Nye family had become Nye Linglong's domain completely. Nye Linglong colluded with the powerful elders and higher-ups from the Nye family, so no one dared to disobey Nye Linglong. "Why are you standing around? Kill Nameless Nye first, then slay President Fearless." Nye Linglong commanded coldly. Dozens of people immediately attacked Nameless Nye like an avalanche. "Ha! Nameless Nye broke into loud laughter. "Great, great, great! Come at me!" Even though Nameless Nye was lethally poisoned and besieged by dozens of experts and several elders from the Nye family, he didn't have a trace of fear and welcomed the battle with a grin. When Nameless Nye and the dozens of experts fought, they were like 2 falling meteors that deviated from their original path and violently clashed together. Within seconds, several cuts from weapons appeared on Nameless Nye's body, the blood soaking his upper body, dyeing all of his clothes scarlet. "Sister, hurry and leave." Nameless Nye suddenly turned around and angrily shouted at Yi Wanwan. Yi Wanwan tightly clenched her fists. I can't leave. How could I leave? Nameless Nye panted heavily and abruptly pushed Yi Wanwan toward the exit. Quick, listen to brother. Brother, I'm fine. Nameless Nye's voice turned icy. Panic suddenly rushed into Yi Wanwan's eyes when she saw Nameless Nye's gaze. What does he want to do? A second later, Nameless Nye suddenly started attacking those experts crazily. Yi Wanwan knew he was fighting for a handful of minutes so that she could escape. Nye Linglong icily stood on the side with her arms crossed in front of her chest. With a poison like withered butterfly, the more you move, the faster it spreads. Brother! As Yi Wanwan tussled with those guards with everything she had, she kept trying to break through the human barrier and take Nameless Nye away. However, Nye Linglong came prepared. All the experts here today were on par with the chauffeur assassin from the other day. Although Yi Wanwan underwent intense training and managed to match her sober strength with her drunk strength, her strength was still too inferior. I'm telling you to leave. Didn't you hear? Nameless Nye angrily shouted, nearly using all of the energy in him while he shattered the top of an assassin's skull with his palm. At this moment, an assassin sneakily attacked Nameless Nye from behind. Nameless Nye's energy was nearly exhausted, so he couldn't dodge in time and was struck on the back and sent flying back, heavily crashing into the wall. Brother! Yi Wanwan instantly sent an expert back with a karate chop and rushed forward, helping Nameless Nye sit up. However, Nameless Nye had closed his eyes and lay there unmoving. I told him that after ingesting this poison, the more intensely he moved, the faster the poison would spread. He's just dim-witted and wouldn't listen, so he brought it on himself, Nye Linglong said with a snort nearby. Shut your G*****damn mouth. Yi Wanwan fiercely glared at Nye Linglong. This glare was bone-chillingly icy, and even Nye Linglong involuntarily felt chilly from head to toe in that instant. That gaze gave her déjà vu. Nameless Nye fainted. Forget about him. Kill President Fearless. Nye Linglong ordered. Following Nye Linglong's order, several Nye family elders and expert assassins attacked Yi Wanwan immediately. Brother! Yi Wanwan was sorrowful as she looked at the unconscious Nameless Nye. Behind her, a Nye family elder had reached her and swung a fist toward the back of Yi Wanwan's neck. This elder's fist was too fast. The strength of a Nye family elder wasn't something the current Yi Wanwan could contend with. At that moment, something unbelievable happened. Bang! A loud noise rang out and the elder howled in pain as he was sent flying back by a punch from the suddenly standing Nameless Nye. Brother! Yi Wanwan was joyous. However, a second later, Yi Wanwan froze in her spot, her hands clutching her mouth and her eyes wet with tears. Nameless Nye's eyes were still tightly shut and unopened. He was still unconscious. A Nye family higher-up looked stunned. He clearly fainted already, but he can still attack. What kind of willpower is this? It's mostly like his final instincts and determination. Even though he's fainted completely, he can still use his last bit of willpower to protect his sister. A middle-level higher-up nod on his teeth, deep veneration toward Nameless Nye rising in his heart. Nameless Nye instinctively protected Yi Wanwan behind himself. He still had enough consciousness to differentiate who was his younger sister and who were the people trying to harm his sister. Brother! Veins bulged from Yi Wanwan's forehead and her nails dug into her palms, blood dripping onto the ground. Am I so useless? I don't have unparalleled intelligence or unbeatable martial strength. What use am I? I can't even protect my own elder brother. I'm a piece of trash. Torrential hatred rushed inside Yi Wanwan's heart. She hated her incompetence. She hated her powerlessness. You're dead. At that moment, Nye Linglong dashed toward her grasping a dagger, her figure extremely fast and incredibly agile. Swish! The coldly glinting dagger was thrust toward the unconscious Nameless Nye. Pikegisi! It was the sound of a blade piercing flesh. Drip! Drip! Blood trailed down Yi Wanwan's hand and slowly dripped onto the ground. In the blink of an eye, before Nye Linglong swung her dagger and pierced Nameless Nye's chest, Yi Wanwan had acted. She stood guard next to Nameless Nye and used her own hand to take Nye Linglong's dagger. The incredibly sharp blade completely penetrated her hand. Yi Wanwan had her head lowered, silent. I'm really curious. How much longer will you play out your act of deep sibling affections? Nye Linglong asked while smiling with intrigue, looking at Yi Wanwan in amusement. Yi Wanwan slowly raised her head, the breeze sending her hair fluttering up. Want you to die, Yi Wanwan said expressionlessly. You want me to die? Nye Linglong asked with a smile. Can you do it? All right, I've changed my mind. I will use this dagger to pierce through your brother's chest in front of you. I want you to personally witness your incapability. Your arrival in this world was the biggest mistake. How tragic. Kneel down and beg me. However, before Nye Linglong could finish speaking, her expression abruptly changed. Yi Wanwan swung her fist. This punch was so fast Nye Linglong couldn't react, as though it had broken human limits and passed some terrifying limit. In front of everyone, Nye Linglong was punched by Yi Wanwan and flew backward like a sheet of paper in a storm. Swish. Before Nye Linglong could land, Yi Wanwan rapidly caught up to Nye Linglong extremely quickly, and she snatched the woman by her hair, dragging her downward mercilessly. Kaboom! Nye Linglong was fiercely slammed onto the ground, sending dust flying in the air. Bam! Another punch landed on Nye Linglong's face before Nye Linglong could react. I want you to die. This was violently fuming rage. This was bone-deep resentful hatred. Nye Linglong's heart couldn't help but tremble when she saw Yi Wanwan's familiar frightening gaze. It was the gaze from all those years ago. The gaze worryless Nye had when she trained her. The gaze that terrified her but also made her harbor resentment. You're dead! Nye Linglong screamed with rage and her hands slapped the ground as she picked up the dagger and stood up, thrusting the dagger toward the spot between Yi Wanwan's brows. Ding! What made Nye Linglong incredulous was that Yi Wanwan managed to catch her dagger merely using 2 fingers. Nye Linglong, you truly deserve to die. The current Yi Wanwan seemed to have been pervaded by indignant fury and had transformed into a demon that crawled out of the depths of hell. After Yi Wanwan said that, her fingertips exerted an unimaginable strength. The dagger caught by her snapped with a crisp sound. Yi Wanwan kept her fingers on the broken-off end of the dagger and she swung her right arm, ruthlessly slashing across Nye Linglong's neck as though she wanted to cut it in half. However, Nye Linglong reacted extremely fast and retreated back at once. Although Nye Linglong managed to dodge Yi Wanwan's fatal blow, a long bloody laceration still drew across her face, which was shocking to the eye. Attack! A Nye family elder shouted immediately. The next second, dozen or so people attacked Yi Wanwan. You all deserve to die. Faced with the dozen or so attackers, Yi Wanwan didn't retreat and attacked instead, using the broken dagger between her fingers as her weapon. Within moments, her attackers were left dead or injured, and no one dared to approach Yi Wanwan anymore. How is that possible? An elder was astonished as he stared at Yi Wanwan. She recovered. Her peak martial strength. But wait, even during worryless Nye's peak period, she wasn't this frightening. So did she surpass her previous self, or perhaps, the old her was holding back? Let's attack together. Kill her. Nye Linglong commanded coldly. Before the other Nye family members could respond, a bone-chilling voice was heard, a voice that sounded like it came from the depths of the night and sent shivers down people's backs. Do you want to attack together? Hundreds of people slowly walked around the corner, and the leading man seemed to be one with the night, a terrifyingly menacing aura tinged with never-seen-before murderousness infiltrating the air around him. Next to him was First Elder from the Fearless Alliance leading several elders, a dozen or so Hall Masters, Big Dipper, 7-Star, and other members. When Yi Wanwan saw the man, her bloodthirsty and merciless eyes finally eased a little. Lord Azura! The Nye family elders were shocked by Lord Azura's appearance. How was he so fast? Yes, they had miscalculated. Their original plan involved Nameless Nye getting poisoned and them taking care of him in the shortest amount of time possible. Since worryless Nye wasn't worth a mention, they would kill both of them, and the Nye family would have nothing to fear when Lord Azura arrived on their doorstep. However, who would have expected nameless Nye to be a monster? He was lethally poisoned but could still display such explosively powerful fighting strength. Even after he fainted, he could still use his incomprehensible willpower to protect his sister. After they took care of nameless Nye with much difficulty, worryless Nye regained her peak strength and managed to drag things out until Lord Azura arrived. The man walked toward Yi Wanwan and took off his jacket, draping it over Yi Wanwan. His icy eyes turned to Yi Wanwan's injured hand. He gently picked up Yi Wanwan's hand. "Does it hurt?" Almost automatically, Yi Wanwan shook her head. "Hurry! Take my brother to the hospital." Yi Wanwan, who woke up with a start, shouted in a rush. "They're taking him there," Si Yihan replied. Yi Wanwan turned around and saw that nameless Nye was taken away already. Si Yihan also turned around and examined Nye Linglong and the other members of the Nye family. "Kill them all," he ordered coldly. Following his placid words, the members of Azura surrounded them all like a web. Regardless of who you were, you couldn't escape. "Wait." Yi Wanwan looked at the man. "I caused this years ago, let me handle this now, all right?" The hatred in her heart couldn't be pacified. All that dominated her mind was how nameless Nye exhausted everything he had to fight for her chance of survival. She was his sister, so she had to be the one to avenge him. If it wasn't for her bringing Nye Linglong back to the Nye family, how would they have warmed a snake in their bosom? She raised this vicious snake herself. Hence, even if they were to reach a conclusion, she should do it personally. Cause and effect, she planted the cause, so she had to knot it as well. Si Yihan looked at Yi Wanwan and gently combed her long hair. "Okay." He nodded in the end and looked at the Azura members. A second later, the Azura members moved back slightly, yielding a path. Yi Wanwan slowly traversed through the emptied path, her eyes intently looking at Nye Linglong. Her earlier hatred had turned into abnormal apathy. "You?" Nye Linglong asked coldly as she wiped away the blood from the wound caused by Yi Wanwan's dagger. Swish. As Nye Linglong said that, she saw Yi Wanwan's right arm rise and the broken dagger in Yi Wanwan's fingers flew out fast as lightning. A second later, Nye Linglong's right cheek was slashed by the arrow-like dagger, blood gushing out again. "Nye Linglong, I once adopted you into the Nye family because I found you pitiful. However, you weren't grateful at all and harbored the ambition of wild wolves, delusionally wanting to outstrip me," Yi Wanwan calmly stated as she looked at Nye Linglong. "Adopted?" Nye Linglong suddenly sneered. "Who do you think you are? What have you done for the Nye family? All these years, those two old geezers worried about you endlessly, but how do you deserve it? You're nothing but a piece of trash, and I am fated to stand at the peak. You all will be stomped beneath my feet." "Is that so?" Yi Wanwan's eyes shone coldly, and her figure disappeared from her spot as she spoke, and appearing in front of Nye Linglong. "I want you dead," Nye Linglong harshly shouted, also swiftly darting toward Yi Wanwan. Yi Wanwan remained in her spot and aloofly glanced at Nye Linglong. "I am worryless Nye, and you will always be the Nye Linglong who I charitably pitied, adopted into the Nye family, and bestowed a name upon. From this moment onward, I revoke the name Nye Linglong. You aren't worthy of being called Nye Linglong." After saying that, Yi Wanwan attacked with her elbow and ruthlessly struck the approaching Nye Linglong in the abdomen. Bam! A loud noise sounded as Nye Linglong was knocked to the ground. Nameless Nye's move, Nye Linglong stood up again and wiped the blood from her mouth. "Using the move my brother once taught me to end your life is your honor," Yi Wanwan said expressionlessly. Yi Wanwan sent a kick toward Nye Linglong's abdomen as she spoke. "You're too slow." Nye Linglong sneered and slightly tilted her body. However, Yi Wanwan's kick abruptly changed in the middle of the path and ferociously slammed into Nye Linglong's chin using an extremely tricky angle. Another loud noise sounded as Nye Linglong was knocked to the ground again. "Still slow?" Yi Wanwan asked as she looked at Nye Linglong. "Back then, you taught me everything." "Impossible. I've already surpassed the teacher long ago." There's no way you're my match. Nye Linglong yelled. Yi Wanwan's lips turned up. When a tiger teaches a dog how to hunt, a dog is always a dog no matter how well it learns, but a tiger is always a tiger. You held back then? Nye Linglong fumed with rage between gritted teeth. Worryless Nye didn't teach her everything. Yi Wanwan moved the second Nye Linglong finished speaking. Yi Wanwan smacked her palm toward Nye Linglong, and Nye Linglong immediately went on the defense, using her arms to block her body. However, Yi Wanwan accelerated and instantly looped behind Nye Linglong, snatching her by her hair. Finally, one more thing to teach you. Remember to pull your hair back when you're fighting. After saying that, Yi Wanwan pushed her arms forward and Nye Linglong lost her balance, crashing onto the ground. How much evil covers these hands of yours? Yi Wanwan's eyes shone coldly as she stepped onto Nye Linglong's arms. The sound of bones cracking was heard and Nye Linglong was drenched in sweat, but she didn't make a single sound. Worryless Nye. Pa, you're the true demon from head to tail. The blood on my hands is all thanks to you. It was you who taught me how to kill. What right do you have to ride above me? In terms of strategy and intelligence, how could you compare to me at all? You should be the adopted one. Sweat soaked Nye Linglong's forehead, but a sneer remained on her face. I taught you because I wanted you to have the ability to protect yourself in the future, not to allow you to harm the Nye family and commit crimes, Yi Wanwan replied expressionlessly. Back then, Yi Wanwan taught Nye Linglong exactly as Grandpa taught her. Her original intention was love, but how a person comprehended it relied solely on them. Worryless Nye. Everyone from the Nye family deserves to die. How many good days do you have left? Nye Linglong fiercely glared at Yi Wanwan. Oh right, I nearly forgot until you mentioned it. You can't die yet. Yi Wanwan picked Nye Linglong up and tossed her to the nearby Lin Quebec. Why did you throw her to me? I'm not interested in her. Lin K hastily protested as he looked at Nye Linglong by his feet. Take her back and rigorously interrogate her. You must discover everything she knows, regardless of the method you have to use, Yi Wanwan said. Jiang Yen, that's your specialty. I'll leave it to you. Lin K turned to Jiang Yen next to him. Understood. Jiang Yen nodded and picked up Nye Linglong, about to leave by himself. Take more people back with you, Yi Wanwan instructed with a frown. This woman is already in this state. Do you think she could still threaten me? Jiang Yen might have been indignant inside, but he was still courteous on the surface. What if someone abducted her? Yi Wanwan asked. Jiang Yen had no choice but to take half of the Azura group back with him. Yi Wanwan turned to the higher-ups and elders from the Nye family who were present and coldly asked, Am I qualified to become the head of the Nye family now? The Nye family higher-ups looked at each other. Yes. Worryless, actually, we were also deceived by Nye Linglong earlier. Who would have expected her to have the ambitions of a wolf? Thank goodness you exposed her true face in time, or else the consequences would have been inconceivable. A higher-up hastily said, That's right. We were also deceived. Yi Wanwan's lips curled up mockingly. Unfortunately, she couldn't displace these elders and higher-ups right now. She had to coordinate with second great-uncle and completely disintegrate their power in the Nye family first before she could punish them. Otherwise, if she harmed them now, the Nye family would definitely fracture and collapse. That wasn't something Yi Wanwan wanted to see. I know you were also deceived, but, after all, you've committed a wrong, so you should be punished, Yi Wanwan said. Yes. Please punish us, matriarch. We'll comply with everything you say. All the higher-ups nodded frantically. However, Yi Wanwan wasn't in the mood to waste her words with these people right now. She'd definitely settle this account with them later, and what awaited them was nothing but a frightening fate. Ajio, which hospital is my brother in? Let's go there. Quick. Yi Wanwan turned to look at Si Yihan. Si Yihan nodded and ordered Lin K, escort all the elders from the Nye family back to the Nye residence first. Understood, ninth brother. Lin K nodded and turned to the Nye family higher-ups. Everyone please. They called it escorting, but in truth, Azura was restricting them. The members of the Nye family looked at each other, the higher-ups frowning involuntarily. They were higher-ups from the Nye family, but Lord Azura wanted to imprison them? What outrageous joke was this? Master, this is Nye family's business and Lord Azura is an outsider, after all, so I don't think it'd be proper for him to interfere with our Nye family's family business, right? A Nye family elder asked, looking at Yuanwan. Yuanwan glanced at the elder who spoke. What's between Lord Azura and I is considered family business while what's between you and I can only be considered official business. Understood? The Nye family higher-ups were rendered speechless. After saying that, Yuanwan quickly rushed toward the hospital with Siyihan. Yuanwan was burning with anxiety, immensely worried about Nameless Nye's injuries and poison. In truth, with Nameless Nye's body constitution, his injuries should be considered superficial wounds, but the poison he was inflicted with could steal a person's life. Yuanwan didn't dare to think deeply about what would happen if something bad befell Nameless Nye. Faced with Yuanwan's incredibly anxious expression, Siyihan merely kept her company silently. Regarding this situation, he wasn't clairvoyant and couldn't raise someone from the dead, so they could only listen to the doctor when it came to Nameless Nye's condition and let fate take Nameless Nye wherever it would take him. Yuanwan stared at the hospital ahead a long time later and turned to Siyihan. He responded. Agio, is this hospital good? Yuanwan was brimming with worry. This is the best hospital in the independent state, Siyihan softly comforted her. I already told the best doctor in Azura to stay by your brother's side and keep a constant watch over him. Thank you. Yuanwan nodded. Even so, Yuanwan was still fretting with worry and felt a trace of fear toward the hospital up ahead. She had no idea what kind of news awaited her there. A moment later, Yuanwan followed Siyihan inside the hospital and directly headed to the intensive care unit. You're Miss Worryless from the Nye family? Outside a room, a group of doctors were discussing something and immediately received Yuanwan when they saw her. Whether it was the Nye family or the Fearless Alliance, their fame in the independent state didn't need to be mentioned. There wasn't anyone who didn't know them. Their fame exploded especially after President Fearless recovered her identity as a daughter of the Nye family. Doctor, how's my brother? Yuanwan hastily asked the doctors. Well, a doctor shook his head at Yuanwan and sighed. Miss Worryless, your brother ingested a lethal poison. Although we conducted emergency care immediately and pumped his stomach, the time he was sent here was still a little too late. Following the doctor's words, Yuanwan's complexion turned ashy instantly, and she staggered back slightly but was caught by Siyihan. How can that? Doctor, are you mistaken? My brother's body constitution is very strong. Yuanwan looked panicked, her speech turning incoherent. Miss Worryless, your brother's body constitution is very strong indeed, but he was poisoned by a lethal poison that spreads via blood, so it's useless regardless of how strong a person's constitution is unless there is an antidote. The doctor was helpless. Although he said that a lethal poison like withered butterfly didn't have an antidote. Miss Worryless, we're very sorry. We really tried our best. Yuanwan was deathly pale and the man next to her didn't know how to comfort her as he looked at her. Agio, I want to spend some time with my brother. An unknown amount of time passed before Yuanwan spoke to Siyihan. All right. Siyihan wanted to speak but hesitated. Any words right now were too weak, so he could only pat her hair comfortingly in the end. After obtaining permission from the doctor, Yuanwan entered the hospital room by herself. Nameless Nye was lying in bed, alone and unmoving with an oxygen mask over his nose and mouth. There wasn't a trace of pain on his face. It was as though he was merely sleeping, awfully serene. Brother, Yuanwan walked to the side of the bed and tightly grasped Nameless Nye's hands. Brother, wake up. Didn't you want to get rich? Do business? Wake up. I'll give all of the Fearless Alliance and the Nye family's business to you. Also, I'll tell Agio to give all of his business to you too. How about that? Yuanwan stared at the motionless Nameless Nye on the hospital bed, a mist rising over her eyes. She gently shook Nameless Nye's arm. She couldn't lose him. That was a pain she couldn't endure in her life. In her mind, dribs and drabs of her past with nameless Nye faintly surfaced. Yi Wanwan left the Nye family when she was young and lived with their grandpa, but it was precisely that which made her every interaction with nameless Nye extraordinarily precious and extraordinarily valuable. Brother, do you still remember? When I was young, I was bullied by someone, and you picked up a brick to smash that guy's head many times. Inside the ward, Yi Wanwan smiled at times, cried at others. Outside the ward, Si Yihin remained silent. Brother, do you know? This time, you were protecting me again. Even though you lost your consciousness already, you were still protecting me, your useless sister. Brother, no matter how outsiders view you, you're always the mightiest hero in my mind. Brother, wake up. Didn't you once say that as long as I could fend off 3 moves from you, you would agree to all of my reasonable and unreasonable requests? I can definitely take 3 moves from you now, perhaps even more. You can't weasel out of it. You have to wake up and fulfill your promise. I'm begging you. Yi Wanwan clutched nameless Nye's hands tighter and tighter. It was though she would lose hold of her brother if she loosened her grip even slightly, and he would never reappear in her life again. Yi Wanwan stayed in the hospital room without taking a step away, accompanying nameless Nye the whole night. And outside the hospital room, Si Yihin also didn't take a single step away and stood guard on such a miserable night. The next morning, faint rays of sunlight scattered in the hospital room through the window. Yi Wanwan dazedly opened her eyes and subconsciously reached for nameless Nye's hands. Brother, don't. Before Yi Wanwan finished speaking, she discovered the bed was empty. Unease and hysteria enveloped her heart instantly. Within seconds, Yi Wanwan shot up with panic all across her face and wanted to sprint out of the ward. However, she had just stood up when she discovered nameless Nye sitting by the table next to the window, dressed in his patient's gown with one leg propped over his knee. He was taking a bite from the partially eaten apple in his hand. Yi Wanwan stared at nameless Nye, her mind turning blank. Meanwhile, nameless Nye dumbfoundedly looked back at her. Want some? Upon seeing a lack of response from her, nameless Nye handed his apple to her. Yi Wanwan's gaze landed on the apple he was handing to her, and she reflexively accepted it. After his apple was taken, nameless Nye wiped his mouth and picked up a pear from the tray and started eating it. Sister, I'm telling you, I'm starving to death. Why is there only fruit here? Nameless Nye slurred out inarticulately. Yi Wanwan quickly put the apple aside and looked at nameless Nye. Brother, hold on, my brain is a little messy. Let's get this clear. You're fine? Nameless Nye was bewildered. Who said I'm fine? Motherfucker, there isn't a spot in my body that doesn't hurt. I was nearly beaten to death by those fucking bastards. They were seriously ruthless. There isn't a spot in his body that doesn't hurt? He was nearly beaten to death? Is that the main point? Wasn't the main point him drinking iced pear juice that contained a lethal poison? Doctor? Brother, don't move. I'm gonna go call the doctor. Yi Wanwan turned to sprint out. Nameless Nye instantly pulled Yi Wanwan back. Call a doctor? Call what doctor? Didn't I just take a round of beating? There's nothing major about that. Look at you, you sent me to the hospital for such a trivial matter. Doesn't the hospital cost anything? Brother isn't lecturing you, but you're being too extravagant and wasteful. Yi Wanwan was utterly stupefied. This absolutely wasn't a dying flash of lucidity. Her brother was absolutely full of vigor and energy and didn't look poisoned in the slightest. If it weren't for you dragging me back, why would I have been beaten up so miserably? You'll pay for the hospital cost and also the nutrition cost or whatever. You'll pay for it all, nameless Nye lamented with a sigh a moment later. Yi Wanwan, weren't you lethally poisoned? Yi Wanwan was stunned. Lethally poisoned? Which poison? Nameless Nye asked. It was withered butterfly. A 100% fatal poison. Yi Wanwan hastily answered. Did nameless Nye get amnesia? Oh, I remember now. You're talking about that. Nameless Nye pursed his lips. I have a goo insect inside my body that eats every poison. I'm impervious to poison, all right? Forget about withered butterfly, but I'm not afraid of withered leopard either. Goo! Yi Wanwan slapped herself on the head. She actually forgot about dead man by nameless Nye's side. She didn't know what goo insect was so fearsome to allow someone to become impervious to poison. However, seeing how nameless Nye was so vigorous and lively despite falling victim to the lethal poison, withered butterfly, nameless Nye must be telling the truth. It had to be said nameless Nye's dead man was seriously a character. Back then her love goo incident was all due to him too. Yi Wanwan stared at nameless Nye as though she wanted to say something but ended up staying silent. She took half a step forward and lightly embraced nameless Nye. What are you doing? Nameless Nye glanced at Yi Wanwan. Brother, as long as you're fine, that's good, Yi Wanwan softly said, a smile beaming on her face. Damn, when did you turn so corny? I'm not prepared for this, or used to this, all right? Nameless Nye said. Yi Wanwan immediately let go of nameless Nye and demanded coldly, since you weren't poisoned, why did you tell me to run yesterday? Nameless Nye was baffled by her words. What nonsense is that? So many people wanted to kill us. If we didn't run, were we gonna stay and let them sauté us for dinner? Then why did you clutch your stomach? Yi Wanwan asked. My stomach hurt, nameless Nye replied matter-of-factly. Yi Wanwan, freaking. His stomach hurt. Look, although I have a goo insect inside my body and am impervious to poison, there still needs to be a process. It's not some magic potion or elixir and can eliminate all ailments. No matter how weak that withered butterfly is, it's still a fatal poison, and the goo insect takes time to eat the poison inside my body, so of course my stomach hurts. Nameless Nye spoke so clearly and logically that Yi Wanwan didn't know how to respond for a while. Say, why did you dawdle yesterday? I told you to run, but you wouldn't run. If you ran away, I would have run away already. My stomach was hurting to hell, but you still wouldn't run. You seriously screwed your dad over. No, screwed your brother over. Nameless Nye complained. Yi Wanwan, how should I respond to that? I was worried to death, afraid that something bad would happen to nameless Nye, but in the end, he merely had a stomachache. If you ran ages ago, I could have sent them flying with a kick then ran. Why would have I been beaten like that? Look at how my face was pummeled by their fists. Nameless Nye harumphed. Hearing this, Yi Wanwan's lips twitched. She wanted to fuck him up. Yi Wanwan finally understood that she couldn't use normal logic to understand her brother. Before Yi Wanwan could say anything, the hospital room door was pushed open, and Si Yihan entered with 2 portions of breakfast in hand. Brother-in-law, you're finally here. Did you want to starve me to death? Nameless Nye quickly took both breakfasts. Your brother was hungry and told me to buy breakfast for him. You were asleep, so I didn't wake you up, Si Yihan quietly explained. Si Yihan brought out another portion of breakfast and handed it to Yi Wanwan. This is yours. Brother-in-law, I feel like my sister's breakfast looks more delicious. Nameless Nye turned to Si Yihan. It's the same. Yi Wanwan shot Nameless Nye a look. Fine. Nameless Nye shrugged. Have you eaten yet? Let's eat together. Yi Wanwan pulled Si Yihan to sit on the bed. It's fine, I've eaten, Si Yihan replied softly. As Yi Wanwan looked at Nameless Nye and Si Yihan, her lips turned up and happiness filled her heart. Oh right, brother, it's your birthday in a few days. Yi Wanwan looked at Nameless Nye. That's right. What about it? Nameless Nye looked curious. What present do you want, brother? Yi Wanwan asked with a smile. Nameless Nye rubbed his chin, falling into contemplation. A moment later, he looked at Yi Wanwan again and pensively asked, how about, say whatever you want. Yi Wanwan's smile didn't decrease. How about you give me a kowtow? Nameless Nye suggested. Yi Wanwan, Si Yihan. Yi Wanwan stared at Nameless Nye. What did he say? He wants me to give him a kowtow? What does he mean? Freaking, you're just celebrating a birthday? What do you mean by having me kowtow to you, huh? Yi Wanwan wanted nothing more than to slap Nameless Nye to the ground. Didn't you say whatever I wanted? Then what's wrong with you kowtowing to me to celebrate my birthday? Isn't it normal to kowtow to the birthday boy? Nameless Nye answered matter-of-factly. Yi Wanwan took a deep breath, trying to keep herself calm. Did her and Nameless Nye's elements conflict? Brother-in-law, is there anything wrong with what I said? What's wrong with me having your wife giving me a kowtow to celebrate my birthday? Nameless Nye asked Si Yihan. Si Yihan. Nameless Nye scratched his chin and reluctantly conceded. It's fine if you don't kowtow to me, but you have to repeat what you said to me earlier. Yi Wanwan looked at her brother in alarm. Repeat what? Nameless Nye's eyes shone brightly, and his expression turned anticipatory. The line where you called me the mightiest hero in your mind. Yi Wanwan never expected him to have overheard her saying this in his unconscious state. No thanks. I would rather kowtow. Yi Wanwan never would have expected him to have heard everything she said last night. Forget it, I won't celebrate this birthday or make you kowtow to me. Nameless Nye looked at Yi Wanwan and Si Yihan and chuckled light. The two of you, you have to do well. Yi Wanwan, this seriously didn't sound like something Nameless Nye would say. Brother-in-law, from now on, I'll leave my sister to you. If you make her suffer the slightest grievance, you can ask about the prestige of me, Nameless Nye, in the independent state, Nameless Nye said with a harumph. Si Yihan. Yi Wanwan was exasperated. Ask about his prestige in the independent state? Does he have any prestige? Which faction would dare to seek out Nameless Nye's group for any mercenary missions? They were renowned for being unreliable and wouldn't do anything concrete despite adamantly demanding money. They should forget about this prestige thing. Ah, sister, look at this husband of yours. He's bad at expressing himself, so he's probably a reticent man. If anything happens in the future, you two must communicate in time. If he doesn't communicate with you, you have to go communicate with him, got it? Nameless Nye lectured Yi Wanwan with a solemn expression. All right, I got it. Yi Wanwan sighed. He really resembled a parent. Before Yi Wanwan could say anything else, she was startled. Brother, why is your nose bleeding? Nameless Nye reflexively pinched his nose and fell into deep thought when he saw the blood on his hand. Could it be there's too much blood in my body? Is it because I'm too strong? Yi Wanwan, forget I said anything. Shit, I accepted several mercenary missions earlier. I nearly forgot about them. Nameless Nye's expression abruptly changed and he immediately pulled off his patient gown, looking around the room. Where are my clothes? Your clothes all got ripped and torn, so how could you still wear them? Yi Wanwan glanced at him. What should I do then? Nameless Nye's gaze landed on Si Yihan. Brother-in-law, how about, you lend your clothes to me to wear for a while? I have something urgent. Si Yihan, I bought some for you. Yi Wanwan took out a new outfit from under the bed. I was afraid you wouldn't have clothes to wear when you woke up, so I had 7 Star specifically bring some here. The size should be right. After Nameless Nye finished dressing, he turned to Yi Wanwan and instructed, come home for dinner tonight. Then Nameless Nye fierily dashed out of the ward. Let's go back and rest a bit. A moment later, Si Yihan suggested to her. Yi Wanwan had been by Nameless Nye's side at the hospital and barely closed her eyes. How about you come back to the Nye residence with me, and rest a bit? Yi Wanwan mockingly looked at Si Yihan. Sure. Si Yihan nodded. If you don't think any problems will happen with Nye Linglong. Yi Wanwan, I'll return to Azura first and come find you after I finishing taking care of the matter, Si Yihan said. All right, Yi Wanwan agreed. Indeed, Si Yihan had to head back to Azura to set her mind at ease regarding Nye Linglong. As for the Nye family, Yi Wanwan didn't plan to imprison Nye Linglong at the Nye residence since Nye Linglong's relationships in the Nye family were very intricate. If she was imprisoned in the Nye residence, Yi Wanwan couldn't anticipate what kind of situation might happen. If someone secretly played dirty and released Nye Linglong. After Si Yihan dropped Yi Wanwan in front of the Nye residence by car, he left. Seeing Yi Wanwan return, the Nye family guards immediately straightened their backs and nodded toward Yi Wanwan in greeting. Everyone in the Nye family knew about the matter with Nye Linglong, so worryless Nye naturally became the head of the Nye family now. After Yi Wanwan returned to the Nye residence, First Elder was the first to seek her out. Worryless, what's the matter with Nye Linglong? First Elder asked her with a deep frown. He previously felt something was amiss that Nye Linglong mobilized several elders and some of the Nye family's fighting force without informing him. Second great uncle, Nye Linglong brought people to kill my brother and me, Yi Wanwan answered. Right now, the only person Yi Wanwan could trust in the entire Nye family was her second great uncle aside from that real unreliable brother of hers. Hence, she briefed the whole story to him. After hearing Yi Wanwan's explanation, astonishment filled First Elder's face. Nye Linglong, that bastard, actually did something like that? First Elder yelled in fury. Thankfully, both Yi Wanwan and nameless Nye were fine. Nye Linglong is now imprisoned in Azura. We just need to wait until we force the information of the mastermind out of her, Yi Wanwan said. Good, then I feel reassured. Also, all the higher-ups who participated in your killing this time will need to be punished, First Elder said after a moment of thought. Yi Wanwan nodded. That was for certain. Those higher-ups of the Nye family needed to be punished. However, as she said earlier, she needed to make them hand over their power first or else chaos would ensue in the Nye family. Yi Wanwan immediately started discussing a plan with First Elder. After they finished deciding on a plan, the night had turned dark. All right, worryless, I'll act according to plan first. Also, in the upcoming days, it'd be best to dispatch more people to scout for information regarding your parents, as well as Nye Linglong. I think she's the most like suspect, First Elder said. Yi Wanwan didn't need First Elder to remind her of this point to know this. She naturally wouldn't neglect Nye Linglong's side of things. Seconds after First Elder left, nameless Nye pushed open the door and entered. Where did you go to party? Yi Wanwan asked him. Didn't I tell you? I went to take care of some business. Nameless Nye glanced at her. Have you gotten old? Do you have a bad memory? Yi Wanwan. Does he want to fight with me? I returned ages ago and worked to death in the kitchen for half a day. I finished making dinner already, so hurry and come to eat, Nameless Nye said. In Yi Wanwan's memory, Nameless Nye did know how to cook, and his culinary skills were rather good. Then it's my luck that I get to eat something delicious. After saying that, Yi Wanwan followed Nameless Nye to the Nye residence's dining room. Dead Man, Spray of Flowers, and the rest of the group were also in the dining room. At the dinner table, Nameless Nye kept serving dishes to Yi Wanwan. These are all your favorites. Do you still remember how you especially like to eat the sweet and sour spare ribs I make? More. They're good, Yi Wanwan praised. The majority of the table of dishes Nameless Nye prepared was consumed by brick-moving foreigner while Yi Wanwan finished a smaller portion. Oh right, sister, I just accepted a major mission, so it will be a while before I come back. Without me by your side, you have to be more careful. Remember this, don't butt into unnecessary matters. Nothing is more important than your life, Nameless Nye earnestly instructed. All right, I got it. Yi Wanwan was exasperated. She'd been listening to his nagging all day long. Who didn't know their life was the most important? Alright, keep eating. I'll go pack up first so I can leave. After saying that, Nameless Nye got up and left. Yi Wanwan looked at the dining table, which looked like a vacuum had run over it, with a dumbfounded expression. Keep eating, eat what? So yummy. Today's a lucky day. I've never eaten a meal cooked by the captain. I had no idea the captain had this kind of hidden skill, brick-moving foreigner burped in satisfaction. Yi Wanwan turned to brick-moving foreigner. She really wasn't used to him saying eating a meal. Forget about you, even I didn't know. Spray of Flowers also interjected. Oh right. Yi Wanwan's gaze landed on Iceberg Man. How's that business deal going? Spray of Flowers and Taoist devotee's ears perked up instantly. Business deal? What business deal? You have to look after us more, boss. Taoist devotee hastily said. It's not like it's a business deal with you, Yi Wanwan replied. It's the same since we're a team. Boss, if you have to hire someone, You can't just hire Dead Man. We're a team, a single entity. You have to hire all of us or else our full power won't be deployed and will diminish greatly. Taoist devotee said. Yi Wanwan ignored Taoist devotee and focused on Iceberg Man again. Almighty One, your goo is rather fearsome. Of course it's fearsome. Dead Man's goo. Never mind, I won't say any more, you've personally experienced it yourself, Spray of Flowers said with a smile. Yi Wanwan, freaking, you just had to mention that. I won't hound you about the love goo from last time anymore, but how about you sell a few of your poison-immune goo to me? I'll pay a high price. Name a price and I won't blink or bargain. Tell me how many 10,000s you want. Yi Wanwan had a serious expression. Taoist devotee, Spray of Flowers, and the others were dumbstruck. High price, won't bargain, how many 10,000s? What a freaking high price. She was the magnificent matriarch of the Nye family, the president of the Fearless Alliance, the mistress of Azura, yet she said something like that without a hint of embarrassment. Boss, how about you sell it to me? Tell me how many 10,000s you want, and I'll buy it and won't bargain. Taoist devotee said. Yi Wanwan, their appetite had gotten big. Previously, they'd be overrun with joy with just a few hundred or 1,000, but now, they weren't satisfied with a few 10,000s. Tykes, you've changed. Yi Wanwan looked at the group with an aggrieved expression and sighed exasperatedly. Fine, fine, fine. Let Dead Man sell me that goo insect that makes you impervious to poison, and I will buy a few. Give me a cheaper price. It's a deal if it's appropriate, and we can discuss it if it isn't, Yi Wanwan relented. In a place like the independent state, this goo was definitely a treasure, so Yi Wanwan had to get her hands on a few regardless of how much she had to spend. One for her, one for Tengting, one for Siyihan. It'd be great if she could buy more so she could equip the people around her with it. I don't have it, the taciturn Iceberg Man finally uttered at this valuable occasion. What? Are you afraid I can't afford it? Yi Wanwan asked indignantly. She wasn't willing to believe she couldn't even afford a goo. Say, boss, are you serious or are you joking with us? Taoist devotee asked Yi Wanwan in astonishment. Boss, the main point isn't whether you're sincere or not. You're being too mystical. What is this goo that makes you impervious to poison? If you really had something like that, prescribe us a few. We'd buy it regardless of the cost. Spray of Flowers said. What did you say? Yi Wanwan frowned deeply. There really isn't something that mystical. No matter how fearsome a goo insect is, it'd still die after eating lethal poison. Brick-moving foreigner replied. Doesn't your captain have this goo? He said Dead Man prescribed it to him, Yi Wanwan said. Huh. Spray of Flowers and Taoist devotee looked at each other, bewildered. Damn, Dead Man, you freaking. You had something this good? Why didn't you bring it out earlier? You prescribed some to the captain, so you've got to prescribe some to us too. Taoist devotee exclaimed emotionally as he shot up. That's right, that's right. You and the captain are too disloyal. You had such a treasure and didn't share it with us? You've grown quite capable, huh? You can even raise a poison-immune goo insect now. Spray of Flowers added. However, Iceberg Man merely looked confused. Dead Man, tell us the truth. Do you really have this kind of goo and have you prescribed it to the captain? Taoist devotee asked Iceberg Man. No. Iceberg Man shook his head. I knew it. How could that kind of goo exist? If it really did, piece of shit would have bought it at a high price ages ago. Read more chapters at L.'s novel. Come. Don't you see how piece of shit carries something to test for poison with him wherever he goes in fear of someone poisoning him? Taoist devotee nodded in conviction. Yi Wanwan's expression shifted as she stared at Iceberg Man. You really haven't given Nameless Nye a goo that makes someone immune to all poison? No. Iceberg Man shook his head. The color drained from Yi Wanwan's face as she heard Iceberg Man's words and recalled Nameless Nye's abnormal behavior today. She immediately dashed out of the Nye residence. Thunder roared in spurts and a drizzle started. Yi Wanwan madly dialed Nameless Nye's phone, but no one answered. About half an hour later, she stopped by a towering piece of rock. When Yi Wanwan looked at the motionless nameless Nye who was leaning against the rock, she froze in her spot, tears falling from her eyes without inhibition. The rain got heavier, making someone unable to differentiate her tears from the rain. "Brother!" Yi Wanwan threw her arms around nameless Nye. A goo that made a person immune to poison didn't exist. Nameless Nye lied to her. Yi Wanwan finally understood why nameless Nye kept nagging her today. "Brother, wake up." Yi Wanwan sat next to nameless Nye, but regardless of how loud she was, nameless Nye didn't give any responses. "Brother, you can't die. You can't die. I'm begging you. I'll kneel down in front of you, I'll kowtow to you." She knelt down next to him. "Didn't you want me to kowtow to you? I'll kowtow to you." Right now, nameless Nye appeared very peaceful and serene, so peaceful there weren't any movements from his chest. "Wanwan." At that moment, the call on her phone connected. It was Si Yihin's voice. "Agio." Yi Wanwan was bawling. "What happened?" Si Yihin sounded confused but serious. "Help me. My brother lied to me. There isn't any goo that makes you impervious to all poison. My brother is gone." After uttering that last sentence, Yi Wanwan couldn't hold on anymore and her vision turned dark. She slipped down next to nameless Nye with a plop and lost all consciousness. Time passed. It was akin to a moment but also akin to a century. During her unconsciousness, Yi Wanwan had a dream. In the dream, both nameless Nye and her were in their youth and chasing each other while playing. Whenever she got into trouble, that boy would always stand up and stick up for her. Sometimes he'd beat the other person until they bled. Other times, they'd flee in panic from his thrashing. "Nameless Nye, you could have ignored me. Who told you to play the hero every single time?" The girl coldly snorted as she looked at the ragged-looking boy wearing a t-shirt. The boy smiled faintly. "Your martial arts skills are a lot weaker than mine. If I don't help you, who else would help you? Don't think that I want to stick up for you, but who told you to be my younger sister?" "Brother." Suddenly, Yi Wanwan's eyes shot open. Her body was soaked by her sweat. Si Yihin was by her side. His expression turned complicated when he saw Yi Wanwan waking up. Spray of Flowers and Taoist devotee were looking at Yi Wanwan as though they wanted to say something but ended up not being able to speak a word. "Agio, where's my brother?" Yi Wanwan snatched Si Yihin's warm hand, her expression helpless. "Wanwan." Si Yihin didn't know what to say. Yi Wanwan's helpless and panicked state was a thorn in his heart. "Mommy." Tangning, who was in the corner, swiftly dashed forward and hugged Yi Wanwan. "Tang, baby, tell mommy, where's your uncle?" Yi Wanwan tightly clutched her son, tears streaming from her eyes. "Mommy, uncle." He accepted a big job and went on a long trip. Tung Tong's voice was slightly trembling. As Si Yihin watched Yi Wanwan and their son, Tangning, his eyes coldly glinted. Discover the culprit at all costs. Soon, Si Yihin sent a message to one of his 4 Azuras, Heavenly Azura. "Agio, take me to your headquarters." A long while later, Yi Wanwan's tears stopped. Her expression was frighteningly placid. "Okay." Si Yihin finally nodded after much consideration. On the way to Azura's headquarters, Yi Wanwan was silent, blankly staring outside the window. Si Yihin and Tang stayed next to her but didn't say anything. In the afternoon, the group arrived in Azura's headquarters. "Take me to Nye Linglong," Yi Wanwan said. Sensing Yi Wanwan's abnormal state, Si Yihin wanted to accompany her during the interrogation, but Yi Wanwan refused. In the end, Si Yihin could only stand guard near the prison so that he could rush over immediately if anything happened and assure no problems would arise. Inside the prison, when Nye Linglong, who was covered in bruises and wounds, saw Yi Wanwan, she sneered. "What? Even Azura can't weasel any information out of you, but you think you can? Do you think I came here to weasel information out of you?" Yi Wanwan's bone-chilling gaze settled on Nye Linglong. "I suddenly remember. Your garbage brother probably couldn't withstand a poison like withered butterfly. How is he? Is he dead yet?" Nie Linglong mockingly looked at Yi Wanwan. Yi Wanwan's expression shifted. Yi Wanwan didn't waste any words and shot to Nie Linglong's side. She ruthlessly punched the woman's face, distorting it further. It looks like I guessed right. Your garbage brother did really die. How was it to witness your own brother dying in front of your eyes? How did it feel? Do you want to share it with me? Nie Linglong shouted coldly. I know you're a member of the direct line. I will only ask this once. Yi Wanwan expressionlessly stared at Nie Linglong. Who is the mysterious man you met last time? Also, what is the direct line's objective? You want to know? Can't you go and investigate it yourself? Nie Linglong cheerily retorted. One last question, where are my dad and mom? Did you do it? I'll only give you one chance, Yi Wanwan continued icily. Are you talking about those two old geezers? Of course it was me. I can tell you they're still alive, but perhaps they're about to die. You want to know where they are? Kneel down and beg me. Maybe I'll tell you if I'm happy, Nie Linglong said. Great. Yi Wanwan nodded. I gave you the chance. It was you who didn't treasure it. Everything will end now. As she spoke, she pulled out a dagger from her side. What a joke. You dare to harm me. Nie Linglong wasn't frightened in the slightest. If I die, you'll never get any information regarding Madame Nie and Patriarch Nie. Also, the direct line will soon launch a war on the independent state. You dare? So what if she was captured? Nie Linglong absolutely didn't believe they dared to take her life away. She was too important. Nie Linglong had just finished speaking when the chillingly glinting dagger in Yi Wanwan's hand pierced into Nie Linglong's left arm. Nie Linglong's tragic howl quickly followed. A second later, Yi Wanwan expressionlessly pulled the dagger out and pierced Nie Linglong's right arm next. Have you gone crazy? Nie Linglong's complexion was pale, and the intense agony caused her face to further contort. Has this woman gone crazy? Is she really ignoring the fate of the independent state and her parents? She actually dares to treat me like this? Yi Wanwan stared at Nie Linglong without a word. She grabbed Nie Linglong by the hair and gently placed the icy dagger against Nie Linglong's neck. Brother, a mist covered Yi Wanwan's eyes. I've avenged you. The next second, Yi Wanwan put force in the dagger and broke the skin on Nie Linglong's neck layer by layer. Worryless Nie, you lunatic. At that moment, Nie Linglong finally felt a fear she had never felt before overcoming her. In her memories, Worryless Nie was indeed a lunatic. She could ignore all the consequences and do every crazy thing that no one would expect. Sister? I'll tell you everything. Before Nie Linglong could finish speaking, her mouth was covered by Yi Wanwan. Nie Linglong fearfully looked at Yi Wanwan but couldn't spit out a single word. Sure. Yi Wanwan made a silencing motion at Nie Linglong. Don't talk. I already gave you a chance to speak earlier. It was you who gave it up, no? Nie Linglong frantically shook her head. She was afraid. The drape of death caused her to incessantly shudder. You killed my brother. You won't be the only one. Every person behind you will also be buried with my brother. Then Yi Wanwan slashed the dagger across Nie Linglong's neck without any hesitation. As Yi Wanwan watched Nie Linglong breathe her last breath, her face turned colder and she tossed the blood-stained dagger to the side. At that moment, Si Yihan, who had heard the odd noise coming from the cell, opened the cell door and entered. After seeing the lifeless Nie Linglong, his gaze landed on Yi Wanwan. Yi Wanwan looked like she was a crazed, bloodthirsty demon who had climbed out from the pits of hell. Her bone-chilling gaze caused Si Yihan's heart to ache immensely. Si Yihan walked toward Yi Wanwan immediately, gently pulling her into his arms. Agio! Yi Wanwan deeply burrowed her head in his arms. Si Yihan could feel her tears soaking his shirt. Si Yihan quietly replied. Agio. I miss my brother. I miss him. A second later, Yi Wanwan tightly hugged Si Yihan, trembling in his arms slightly. He was your mightiest hero, Si Yihan softly whispered. At Azura, Tang Tang and Si Yihan kept Yi Wanwan company without leaving her for a second. After several days, Yi Wanwan's mood finally improved. That same day, Yi Wanwan returned to the Nye residence. The Nye family had been cleansed entirely, and the power of all the higher-ups who participated in Yi Wanwan and nameless Nye's attempted murder had been handed to her second great-uncle, the Nye family's first elder. Yi Wanwan didn't expect her second great-uncle to act so swiftly or eliminate all of the borers in the Nye family in such a short amount of time. Worryless, actually, this had nothing to do with me. Second great-uncle sighed. Yi Wanwan frowned, unable to understand him. It was only these 2 days that I learned. In truth, when your elder brother returned that day, he swiftly and decisively took care of all those higher-ups and elders, and also withdrew all of their power, second great-uncle explained. It was brother, was it? Yi Wanwan's lips turned up in a bitter smile. That's right, it was my brother again. That day, he hastily left the hospital, saying something about accepting a big job. Her elder brother was a liar, a giant liar, from head to toe. On the rear mountain of the Nye residence, there was a burial mound. As the sun set in the west, it scattered golden-yellow rays on this spot, creating a warm environment. Yi Wanwan held up 2 jugs of liquor as she sat in front of the grave. Brother, this is your favorite liquor. An indescribable smile hung on Yi Wanwan's lips as she downed the jug of liquor in one go before pouring the other jug on the ground. Brother, does it taste good? Yi Wanwan murmured softly. Brother, here's your other favorite thing. Yi Wanwan picked up a brick of gold and buried it in the ground. Soon, the liquor hit her and a crazy smile appeared on her face as she sat in her spot. Involuntarily, the scene of her first meeting with nameless Nye back in China surfaced in her mind, along with the dribs and drabs that followed. Nameless Nye made her temporarily act as Tong Tong's mommy and shoved Tang Tang into her care. Then, he participated in some mission completion reality show and sent a TV, a fridge, and the other household appliances he won to her as Tong Tong's living expenses, which eventually led to him being banned from all the mission completion shows. In her state of sobriety and intoxication, 2 streams of tears slid down her face. Brother, if there's a next life, I still want to be your sister, and I hope you'll be my brother still. But in the next life, I'll be the one to protect you. Whoever dares to bully you, I'll stand up for you and beat them black and blue. Brother, you are the mightiest superhero in my heart. During this period of time, the independent state was oddly peaceful, and nothing major happened with both the Nye family and the Fearless Alliance. Yi Wanwan dispatched a lot of manpower from the Nye family and the Fearless Alliance to look into Madame Nye and Patriarch Nye's whereabouts while Azura continued to investigate the island they previously discovered. The only noteworthy finding was that dead man quietly left at some unknown point after nameless Nye left, disappearing from Yi Wanwan's sight, so Taoist devotee, spray of flowers, and brick-moving foreigner had been searching for dead man's whereabouts. Yi Wanwan felt a trace of confusion regarding dead man's departure, not knowing what he was up to. Could it be he was cultivating in seclusion to foster a goo insect that could raise a person from the dead? Of course, that was merely a fleeting thought, and Yi Wanwan didn't think into it more deeply unrealistically. Ajio, how's your investigation going? In the early morning, Yi Wanwan called Si Yihan. There will be news within 3 days, Si Yihan responded. After chatting with Si Yihan for a moment, Yi Wanwan hung up. Since Si Yihan was looking into the island every day and didn't stay at Azura's headquarters too much, Yi Wanwan picked Tang Tang back up, and Si Yihan visited the Nye residence whenever he was free. Right now, everyone in the independent state knew about Lord Azura's relationship with the Nye family, so Si Yihan visiting the Nye residence was par for the course. Yi Wanwan had just hung up when some unhurried knocking came from the door. The door's unlocked, enter. As Yi Wanwan called out, she looked a bit confused. Who had come to the Nye residence study to seek her out this early in the morning? The door to the study was pushed open. It's you. When Yi Wanwan saw the newcomer, her brows instantly furrowed. The visitor wasn't a stranger. It was the vice president of the Martial Arts Union. Miss Worryless, I have something to discuss with you, The vice president of the martial arts union greeted her with a light chuckle. How did you enter the Nye residence? Yi Wanwan wore an apathetic expression. The Nye residence? I can naturally enter it whenever I want to. Back then, I could even take away Emperor Ji and the leader of Heavenly Owl, so the Nye residence, naturally isn't difficult to impenetrate, the vice president replied. The martial arts union, Yi Wanwan narrowed her eyes. In other words, it was the martial arts union that abducted Ji Xiaoran and the leader of Heavenly Owl, Hai. Although Yi Wanwan previously suspected the martial arts union, it was mere suspicion and she actually suspected the direct line the most. She never expected the martial arts union to really be the culprit. So, Miss Worryless, will you leave with me or will I have to take you with me? The vice president asked with a smirk. You. Yi Wanwan slowly stood up, her eyes intently focused on the vice president. You're indeed very strong for being able to abduct Ji Xiaoran and Haight. However, I'm afraid it won't be so easy for you to abduct me. Heh, I'll have to try and see, am I right? The vice president strode toward Yi Wanwan. You're dead. Yi Wanwan's eyes glinted coldly, and she swung her fist at the man. Yi Wanwan and the vice president's fists collided, producing a stifled sound. When they exchanged blows, Yi Wanwan managed to make some calculations. The vice president of the martial arts union was indeed very strong, but it would be a fairy tale for him to abduct her from the Nye residence. Yi Wanwan was certain this vice president wouldn't be a match for her if she attacked at full power without holding back. It was just that. Yi Wanwan's eyes shifted. She pretended to be no match for him and staggered back. You, Yi Wanwan donned a fearful expression. I'm not your equal. Don't kill me. I'll go with you, the vice president was startled. They just exchanged blows and Worryless Nye wasn't in a disadvantageous position, so why did she suddenly admit defeat? However, the vice president didn't think it was a trick and thought everything was still within his control. Then I'll have to mistreat you, Miss Worryless. Tie your hands together. The vice president threw a string of rope toward her. Yi Wanwan nodded and obediently tied her hands together. However, I'm very curious. This is the Nye residence. Even though you managed to enter, I'm afraid it won't be so easy to abduct me. Once you alert anyone in the Nye family, I'm afraid you yourself can't escape, let alone abduct me, Yi Wanwan mused. The vice president smiled faintly. Miss Worryless doesn't need to worry about this point. After saying that, he walked behind Yi Wanwan and moved a painting hanging on the wall. Under Yi Wanwan's astonished gaze, the vice president actually opened a secret passage from the study in the Nye residence. Why was there a secret passage in the study? Moreover, this secret passage was most likely newly created, looking like it had been dug from the outside into the Nye residence. As I said earlier, it won't be difficult for me to abduct you from the Nye residence, Miss Worryless. Was I right? The vice president of the martial arts union asked with a chuckle. The martial arts union is fearsome indeed. Yi Wanwan nodded. She conceded. They actually dug a secret passage from the outside that directly led to the study of the Nye residence. A realization dawned on Yi Wanwan at that moment. No wonder those top leaders of the independent state were abducted from their headquarters without notice. It appeared the martial arts union made preparations beforehand. They had schemed for a long time. If you please, Miss Worryless, visit our L.I.S. novel. The vice president gestured for Yi Wanwan to enter the secret passage. Yi Wanwan didn't say anything and strode into the secret passage. After Yi Wanwan entered the secret passage, the vice president instantly followed and returned the painting in the study back to its original spot from inside the passage flawlessly. As Yi Wanwan walked in front, her lips curled up into an intrigued smile. The vice president of the martial arts union thought he had abducted her, but he had no idea Yi Wanwan had decided to follow Nameless Nye's plan for a while now. As long as the mastermind behind the abduction of the independent state's leaders appeared, she would surrender and agree to leave on her own. Furthermore, she had discussed this with second great uncle, first elder of the Fearless Alliance, and Siyihen beforehand. As soon as she disappeared for a day, It meant she was executing Nameless Nye's plan and would leave clues for them. At that time, she would collaborate with them from the inside. The next day, on an island, after abandoning Yi Wanwan on the island, the vice president of the Martial Arts Union hurriedly left. Is this the island where Ji Xiuran, Hai Teng, and the others are imprisoned? Yi Wanwan muttered as she examined her surroundings. At that moment, from the corner of her eyes, Yi Wanwan caught a somewhat familiar figure digging into the ground crazily with a hoe in his hand. Yi Wanwan inspected the somewhat familiar figure, her brows furrowing. Why did that figure resemble Si Xia? No way. Why would Si Xia appear in this kind of place? Yi Wanwan strode ahead suspiciously. The man had an unkempt appearance with dirt pasted to his face, so Yi Wanwan couldn't be certain. Si Xia, Yi Wanwan furtively called to the man. The man with the hoe instantly reacted and reflexively turned to Yi Wanwan. Why we? It's you? Si Xia looked more stunned than Yi Wanwan when he saw her. Yi Wanwan dumbfoundedly stared at the man in front of her. How did Si Xia get to this state? No, to be more precise, how did Si Xia appear in the independent state and get abducted to this wretched place? She surmised that this island was the same as a prison and its prisoners were nearly all reputable figures from the independent state. However, Si Xia was a reputable figure in the independent state? That didn't make sense. Before Yi Wanwan could react, Si Xia sprinted toward her with his hoe and tried to hit her. Instinctively, Yi Wanwan caught the hoe Si Xia swung toward her and flung the hoe along with Si Xia back. What are you doing? Yi Wanwan surveyed Si Xia with a deep frown, but she figured it out within moments. In China, she tricked Si Wutian into being arrested, so Si Xia was probably avenging his father. Yi Wanwan, are you mad? Why the heck did you hit me? Si Xia slowly climbed up from the ground. Si Xia, about your father. Yi Wanwan explained the whole story to Si Xia. Yi Wanwan couldn't do much about Si Wutian. Si Wutian wanted to kill her, so there was no way she would take it lying down and not retaliate. Moreover, Si Wutian brought everything onto his own self. Speaking of which, Yi Wanwan didn't hit Si Wutian or curse him. She merely called the police with a flick of her hand, so whose fault was it? Si Bai. Si Xia bitterly smiled and shook his head after listening to her explanation. He brought it on himself. He committed a crime in China, so his capture was to be expected. There's nothing to say about that. Yi Wanwan finally relaxed, knowing that Si Xia thought that way. Then why were you trying to hit me with a hoe? Yi Wanwan was puzzled. Who the heck was hitting you with a hoe? I merely got excited suddenly seeing a familiar face. Who the hell knows how long I've been imprisoned in this fucking place? I was just running toward you with a hoe. Who knew what madness struck you and made you hit me? Yi Wanwan, oh right, how did you get captured to this damn place? Yi Wanwan looked at him in surprise. Si Xia sighed. I learned about the existence of the independent state and the Si clan by chance. After my father went missing, I originally intended to come to the independent state to find him. However, on my way here, I learned from the news that he got imprisoned in China after committing a big crime. After that, I planned to visit the Si clan, but they said I was the child of some sinner. Yi Wanwan, aren't you curious about how I appeared here? Yi Wanwan asked Si Xia. Yi Wanwan didn't respond to that. Her fame wasn't a good kind of fame. Oh right, how long have you been imprisoned in this place? She inquired. 2 months or so, Si Xia replied. So, you should be rather familiar with the situation here? Yi Wanwan's eyes brightened. Kinda, Si Xia answered honestly. Great, then tell me what's the situation here and who's imprisoned here, Yi Wanwan hastily asked as she sat down next to Si Xia. Right now, she didn't know anything and coincidentally needed to find someone to spill all the information. This is the bottommost level of the underground prison of the Independent States Martial Arts Union. However, this level isn't underground. Instead, it's on an island, Si Xia explained. Yi Wanwan turned pensive as she listened to Si Xia. Who could have imagined the lowest level of the underground prison wasn't underground and was on a freaking island? It appeared she guessed correctly. If the island Si Yihin discovered wasn't where the martial arts union imprisoned people, there would be a series of trouble. But currently speaking, Azura, the Fearless Alliance, and the entire Nye family had locked their sights onto this island. As long as she cooperated with those leaders on this island and collaborated with Si Yihin and the others from the inside, they could definitely fight their way out easily. Of course, she might have to become familiar with those leaders before that, or else those people would think of her as a madwoman. What are you doing here with the hoe? A moment later, Yi Wanwan stared at the hoe Si Xia was holding, baffled. Digging a tunnel to escape, Si Xia replied truthfully. Dig a tunnel? Yi Wanwan stared at Si Xia like he was an idiot. If I remember correctly, this is an island in the sea. Do you plan to dig 10,000 miles into the depths of the sea? I know it's an island, but so what? Can't I have some unhappiness? Oh, continue to dig. I won't disturb you. News of President Fearless, Bai Feng, being captured and brought to the island spread far and wide within half a day. In this island prison, after a few days of unrelenting effort, Yi Wanwan successfully befriended those old leaders of the independent state. After Yi Wanwan recovered the majority of her memories, many faces surfaced in her mind. Since she had seen most of the leaders who were captured there and had interacted with some of them, tricking them, befriending them, progressed rather smoothly. Some days later, in the rundown cell, Yi Wanwan sat with 3 people at a table with a brand new deck of cards on the table. Countless powerful big shots from the independent state stood around them. The scene of these powerful and mighty big shots, who were once harder to see than climbing to the heavens, nesting together to watch a round of fight the landlord with great relish and occasionally give directions. Yi Wanwan didn't know whether to cry or laugh. Say, Bai Feng, you've changed a lot after not seeing you for many years. I nearly didn't recognize you, a middle-aged man remarked with a light chuckle as he played a card. That's right, President Bai has changed a lot these past years. You're a lot better looking than before. Keep playing cards. Why are you wasting words? Hold on, what did you play? Yi Wanwan asked. A pair of 7s. Bomb. Yi Wanwan casually threw down a bomb. Bai Feng, are you freaking mad? We're a team, so why the hell are you bombing me? The middle-aged man looked at Yi Wanwan in shock. Don't waste time. Do you want it or not? Yi Wanwan asked. I don't. Can the landlord follow it? Yi Wanwan continued. I can't. A3. Yi Wanwan smiled slightly. Bai Feng, you freaking. Careful. We're betting a month of Gopher Boy. This isn't a joke. The middle-aged man shot Yi Wanwan a glare. In the end, the middle-aged man discovered that Yi Wanwan only had a single card in her hand and the rest were bombs, so she successfully bombed the landlord into smithereens. Bai Feng, you've given me such a big gift after meeting me by making me act as a gopher for you 3 for a month. Is that proper? One of the young men asked Yi Wanwan. Thank you. I was just lucky. Yi Wanwan had a leg propped over her other knee with a smug expression on her face. Just looking at your expression makes me angry. If I wasn't good friends with you, I'd definitely turn into your enemy. The young man sighed exasperatedly. Once upon a time, his faction and the Fearless Alliance were allies in the independent state, and he was good friends with Bai Feng privately too. Alright, Bai Feng, if I remember right, didn't you go missing? How did you also get captured to this damn place? Yi Wanwan shrugged. It's a long story, so I won't go into it. Anyway, I'm captured now, so what's there to say? Indeed. However, I don't know whether I should be happy or unhappy about seeing you here. Yi Wanwan, oh right. Yi Wanwan looked at the group. Do you know the leader of Heavenly Owl, Hai Tang and Emperor Ji? Rubbish. Who doesn't know Hai Tang and Emperor Ji? A leader responded. He had been watching Yi Wanwan fight the landlord with the other 3 people. Ah, Hai Tang, she isn't far from us in District A. This is District B. I remember Emperor Ji is also in District A, but I don't think I've heard any news about Emperor Ji recently. No way, why did I hear that Emperor Ji escaped already? Emperor Ji escaped? Everyone was taken aback. This island was located worlds apart from the mainland, so who could escape from here? Emperor G escaped? What joke was that? Did he swim back? I remember there was an idiot last time who wanted to escape from the island. He was quite courageous and directly jumped into the ocean to swim back. However, he wasn't even halfway before he swam back and discovered the place where the martial arts union stored their supplies. Which idiot was that lucky? Yi Wanwan was intrigued. I think he's called C something. Was it summer or autumn one? I can't remember, Yi Wanwan. So the cards we're using right now are from that storehouse? Yi Wanwan inquired curiously. Precisely. We were captured here to be prisoners. Do you think someone would throw in a deck of cards for us to play with? Aside from cards, there was also a lot of medicine and some other random stuff. Anyway, that lad did a good deed. Yi Wanwan turned pensive. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.